What's going on, team? Welcome back to Start Swing Trading. And yes, I got to tell you guys right off the top, you guys are welcome to the party. Let's go. It's a good day for me today, taking some swings out there. Let's get into the action. First thing I want to tell you guys about the trades that we have on, right? Then we'll take a look into the market. We are dropping, but getting a little bit of a bounce back here in the SPY. Let me tell you about the trades that I took today. Of course, yesterday we took Chevron towards the close after the FOMC meeting, and that gave us a nice return today, taking another profit take in this one. Now just going to continue to watch. Yesterday we talked about closing the gap, right? Well, we closed that gap right here. You can see it right here towards that 154.58. And just to get it in perspective, we took profits here. And let me just go ahead and give you guys those exact levels. 155.70 is where we took some profits as we cut through that gap. Now I can continue working Chevron up about almost 3% on this name. And on the recent turn was actually up over 3%. Going to continue to watch to see if oil can continue breaking down. And what's going on in oil right now, right? Well, that's very important to catch up with. I got some news for you guys here. Of course, this did come out of Reuters, so just want to give them a little bit of a shout out. They did just put out this report here. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on as oil prices are going lower, as U.S. Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm told lawmakers that refilling the country's Strategic Petroleum Reserve, the SPR, would be difficult this year and may take several years. This is interesting to think about. Of course, this spooked the market with potential oversupply, essentially giving us a little bit of a scare, right? Because right now we're about to proceed with an additional release of 26 million barrels as a part of the congressional mandate that, of course, came from Biden. Now it's kind of wondering, is this oversupply going to cause a huge drop in oil prices? I think this is all what we need to keep in mind, right? And of course, you guys can take a look. WTI is definitely one way that I take a look at it. And look what happened since 11:30. I don't normally bring up the chart so you guys can see it, just because I don't have it on mine, but I'll bring it up here so you guys can clearly see that downturn that we had from around 11:40. It was going up. And what did I say yesterday? I wanted to see if we could close back towards 69 on WTI today. This is the important part. Why? Because if we can close behind that 69, we can reject the resistance, the prior support that we cut through, which was 72. And today, where do we get up to? We got up there towards 71.40s. You guys can take a look at that. The high was 71.67, rejecting that 72 to go back into that area, and then really getting cut down back to 69.30s on the downside. So that just goes to show me, hey, who knows? Maybe we can get this continued attack in the oil names. I've been looking for XLE to break down for a while now. We got that little bounce. Now we're going to look to see if we can really take out the 76. I also have a new trade on today, so smash the like, guys, if you guys enjoy getting some trading action. I actually took this one during live trading, so you guys smash the like out there if you guys are a part of live trading, and I'll catch up with the chat in just a second. Just want to make sure that we catch these moves here and then look for the continued downside action. Took some profit on XOM today, Exxon Mobil. And I want to be fully transparent, team. This is what it's always about. And I think it's an important thing to be fully transparent. So early on in the day, I did take a trade on this and then ended up getting stopped out, but getting back into it. This is very important to talk about. One thing that I've clearly been working on, I've talked about it on this show before, how we're going to continue to try to work on one of my weaknesses. One of my weaknesses is when I get out of a trade, I have a tendency of not being able to get back into the trade and setting up that risk to reward. I don't want to go for risk number 2, so I end up staying on the sidelines and watching the trade. As this one stopped me out, yes, it stopped me out, but as it came back below VWAP, I attacked it again and was able to take it down this time. And yes, did we go ahead and take a hit? Yes, but we've already paid ourselves that loss and more on Exxon Mobil now. So this is what I always want to be doing, right? Thinking risk to reward. And then when we come back down, taking that reward is going to be so vital in a name like Exxon Mobil. So it's okay to get stopped out. What's not okay for me is not being willing to get back into the name just because I gotten hit once, right? Let's talk a little bit about this for XOM. We did take some profits, full disclosure, in from here. 105.79. So we're up here, right? 79s is right here, team. As it started cutting through the VWAP here, that's when I started getting back into it. Took some profits. First profits, let's talk about it. First profits were at 104.47. And then we took another profit on this one. And let me just get this right here. Just want to make sure that we come on. Where's the next sell here? All right. So we did take some XOM at 104.47s. And I'm going to talk to you guys why that was the level that we took. And that was right here for the gap fill. I've been talking about how I've been looking for gap fills on these oil names. Right here, we got another gap fill as it started coming down through that towards that 50, was able to get some out there at 104.47 as it started to come down. So not a bad trade there on XOM. Had the order out there just sitting as it was coming down, especially as the show was getting started. So took some more profits on that. Still have about half of that position left. I can take some more gains here or look for it to continue to work. Of course, I'm up there towards 105.79. So I'm going to give it a little bit here to see if we can crack through that 102.40s, making our way to the next levels. Next level for me would be down there towards 101.70s. If I get to that 101.70s today, I'll take a little bit more profit and look for the swing overnight. Chevron, we did take some more profits. That's the one that I took at 155.70s just recently, as this one did a little bit of a cut through. So I was able to take even more profits on Chevron after the gap fill and now have a tiny piece on Chevron, but working that Exxon Mobil just a little bit more. All right, catching up with the chat out there. What's going on, team? How we doing out there? Catching up with you guys now that I've been able to get through my trades. Right now we can start focusing on what's out there, what opportunities. And I'm glad I also was able to bounce back in some of my day trading game. I actually took a trade on SOX S that I'm going to speak a little bit more about on, of course, where can you guys learn a little bit more about a trade like this? This is a reversal style trade. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about this, of course, in my book club, Japanese Candlestick Charting Techniques. You guys don't want to miss that. You guys want to learn techniques, different ways to trade, especially reversal patterns. Well, check out our book club. We'll be diving deeper into reversal patterns. I actually recorded this step by step and how to attack it. And I'm glad that, sometimes it's going to come out in your favor. Sometimes it isn't. This one did a little trade on SOX S for the reversal, and we'll see what happens out there. Let's get to the market. Let's take a look. What's going on out there? How we doing? Hawaii tech is red now. Interesting, right? It flipped really quickly. Why is JWN down so much today? Thank you, Daniel, for mentioning that. I'll take a look. We'll find out. Market's getting red hot. I need some red hot chili paper on some smoked tuna. Ooh. And maybe that bluefin tuna, right? Ooh. You can't go wrong there. All right, let's keep going. Just don't short life, says Daniel. How do you short China? So there's a different way, right? Hammer, I got you, man. We could take a look. A liquid ETF ticker, maybe CWeb would be that look there, but that's the positive one, right? You can maybe kind of go against this one. What is it? KWeb is the short one. What's the short one here? I know it's CWeb, KWeb. I know there's Yang, right? There's Yang, but this one's not so liquid, right? And so this one's a little bit less liquid, but it still has 5.3 million shares traded. I always look for at least 1 million shares traded. And what's the spread? 1 cent spread here on Yang. So if you do like China bearish, well, Yang could be maybe a vehicle you can take a look at, Hammer. And that's what it's all about. If you guys have questions like this, let's figure them out together, right? How do you short China? Well, there's different ways to go about it. You can go through certain stocks. You can go through like an ETF, a bearish leverage one. 2X is more comfy for me, says Hammer. I can't blame you on that end. But I know there's C-Web. What's the other one? Let me catch up with the chat. I know you guys probably know it. Yang. Is there like a C-Web, an opposite of the C-Web? Maybe you guys know in the chat there. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Someone needs to fire Yellen. Yeah, someone may need to fire Yellen, Jay. That would be the President Biden if he wanted to do it, but we'll see what happens there, right? Smash the like. K-Web, right? K-Web, that's what I thought, but it just seems like that's just internet. It doesn't say inverse, so I'm going to leave that one alone. I would say Yang is probably your best shot there, but of course that's 3X, right? So we'll see what happens there. Let me do China Bear and see if it come up with anything. Nah, I didn't come up with anything else there. I'll keep an eye on it, team. I'll look into it. I don't do that too often, but if I wanted to, I could look at like BABA, PDD. How do those look? PDD looks weak. This one, it's been trying to hang on to the 50% retracement. I've drawn this since the 28th of February, and you can see we've come to this level multiple times. It's 75. Maybe this gets cut tomorrow, so we can keep an eye on it. I will actually even set an alert there at 74.90s to see if we get PDD to cut through that tomorrow and starts cutting through back towards like the 61.8, which get us down towards about $68. We'll find out what happens there. Went all in on Sox S, says Captain Kirk. How'd it work out to you, my friend? When did you go in on Sox S? That's what really matters. We'll have to see what happens there. What's going on, Jeff? How we doing? It's good to have you in the chat. You guys smash the like. Let's keep it going, team. All right, let's get into the market overall. You see the SPY. We're still holding above this trend line. As long as we hold above this trend line, team, I'm going to be still in kind of that bullish phase. Of course, oil can turn around, but we did see today a lot of tech names rip out the gates and then start slowing down. Let's take a look at the leadership, right? Let's go to the hourly so you guys can see that rip and pullback. Here's the Apple pullback here. I've been looking for a pullback into 157 for Apple just to see if we could hold this kind of 9 EMA outlook, right? If we pull back to around 157 tomorrow, I can see that 9 EMA kind of curling underneath that, and then looking to see if we can push back through 160. Of course, these tech stocks look really strong, and I'm not going to even lie, team. They just look really monstrous, like they're trying to make a move. The only question here, is the market going to move ahead of the banking concern? I think those are the questions we're asking ourselves, right? Well, let's take a look at JPM and the banks. How are they doing today? Well, not doing that great, right? Let's take a look. You can see the recent action. We broke through those lows, and we're coming back to last week's lows, right? We could do this by just as simply looking at a weekly candle. Weekly candle 125.45, and right now 126.01. Are we going to go back to that 125.45 and break through that? It's going to be very vital to kind of keep an eye on that, because if we do it on JPM, I think we definitely break through lows on Bank of America. And you guys can see it. We were talking about this today on pre-market prep. Would we break through these lows? And you guys can see it already breaking through that and going lower on Bank of America. And glad I'm not investing in Bank of America. I got that question this morning on pre-market prep. I said I would stay out. If there was any of them I would invest in, is probably JPM. But I'm in no banks on an investment wise. I just feel like the risk to return isn't there for me, team. And when the risk to return isn't there, or I feel like there's just way too high uncertainty, I sometimes feel like I just want to stay out of the trade versus being in a trade like that. There's too many traders that try to get into something they have no edge in. Let's just be honest. Do I know what's going to happen in the banking situation? No. Do I have any edge in the banking situation? No. Can I maybe trade it technically? Yes. But is that enough for me? Right now, in this case, I'm just waiting for it all to just balance out. And I'm looking at other parts of the market to make trades in. Energy, technology, maybe seeing if basic materials can make another lift. But I'm not trading these financial names right now. You guys can, by all means, and I hope you guys get to the profits. You know, I always wish you the best, but I'm going to stay on the sideline for these names. It just doesn't seem attractive to me. And one of my biggest things is how can I be risk adverse versus being risky, right? That's not the game here, team. The game is survival, then a little bit of profit, and then thriving stage, right? We're never going to get to that thriving stage if we have no discipline. For me, this is more about a matter of sticking to my discipline and how I want to trade. And this is not for me. But like always, you guys choose what you want to trade. How are the Boyle traders doing? Florida. You can tell him. I know in the chat, someone will tell him, Boyle is on the ban list, man. We're done with Boyle. Oh, man. Everyone's going to be talking about this one. Well, maybe Boyle goes in fall. I'm not touching this. Another one, high risk, high return. I don't want to touch it. And maybe this is not even high risk, but it just keeps coming down. It's on the ban list. I'm done with it. I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it to someone else to make the profit. And coal plus 4.87, that might be another reason, right? It's because, hey, that's how it is, man. I banned a stock earlier today. Hey, which one was that one, Hammer? Let us know. And it's okay to ban a stock, team. What do we mean by ban a stock? I'm not going to trade it no more. I have already given up too much for this type of trade. For me, it was in UNG. It wasn't Boyle for me. But like always, find what works for you. And if certain stocks, you just don't trade them well, just kick them to the side. You don't need to trade that one. Let's keep going. Let's take a look underneath the hood. What is strong today and what isn't? Let's get to the action. Some guys out there peddling LG. We'll find out, team. You guys smash the like. Over 100 of you guys tuning in right now. Let's see if we can get it up a little bit higher and see if we can get to 50 likes today. And who knows? If we get to 50 likes, I might make another trade here. I have something up my sleeve. Let's talk a little bit about this. Let's get to the action. SPY right now continuing the downside action. As a matter of fact, slipping and slipping. But what does that do for us? That works good for our oil trade. Going after that oil trade. And I could have looked at Oxy. I could have gone back to fighting Warren Buffett. But I saw this one kind of slip there. 60 was the entry yesterday. If I would have gone after Oxy, that would have been the entry I would have been looking for. And where would I have been looking to take some profit? Probably right about here on this closing day. Probably about 56.80s. So right about there. Actually, this is the red day. So it's on the high there, 58.35s. That's why would I've been taking some profits and then letting the rest work on Oxy. Another one that I was looking, I had orders out was Valero, but wasn't able to get some fills. Remember last time we shorted this from 136 down, was able to make a nice percentage. And as it was coming back, I wanted to get after it, but it didn't get there to 136. Yesterday would have been the move in the 135s down towards 128s. We'll see what happens there in Valero, and be careful with that energy trade. Let's go looking underneath the hood, the sectors and the industries. And one thing to note, this was all green earlier today. All green. It was just a pretty sea of green. Now it isn't. That's why we have to be nimble as day traders and swing traders and always be able to change our mentality. Let the market tell us what's going on and not ourselves, right? Early on, the market was telling us strong tech. It quickly turned around. We got to be flexible, team. Technology, still kind of the leading sector, but pulling back significantly, right? 0.33% negative from the open, but overall in the green. This is how the open can trick you, or the overall price can trick you, right? It's negative from the open, but overall into the green. Communication services behind that. We can talk a little bit about that, but really, what do you see on the downside here? Energy, the leading sector to the downside. Been talking about how I can see energy breaking down. I'm taking my shot. Why do I feel energy could also break down? Is at the end, I think that we're getting rotation away from the leaders of last year. Leaders of last year were those energy trades, and a lot of those were held profits as it continued to climb, right? It gets to a certain point where that money wants to run to another sector, right? Well, in this case, I think that money was getting put to work in technology names today, especially the laggard style trade. We'll talk a little bit about that. But now that energy is really starting to turn, can we really start seeing it break down? That's what we're going to be looking for. And that's a cut through on the XLE to, like, let's say 70. If it gets to 70, oh, this is looking like it's completely broken. We'll find out if it can get to there. That's XLE. And of course, that's using the Spider ETF. All right, let's keep going. Took all the gains I had from earlier this year. I got stopped out too many times on it. Which one was that one? It happens to me all the time. You tried dumpster diving? Oh, man, I tried doing that yesterday. I was in GME. I made some profits, but quickly got kicked out the dumpster. Damn, Hammer, that's a brutal one. Yeah, you got to be careful, team. Especially those small names or growth names that can really crush you. Sold oil 2 days ago. Larry, yeah, I mean, I was able to sell into it. Remember last week, we made Oxy 5%, Chevron 4%. We're just going back after it. Got to sell the downside action, then look back for the bounce, hammer it again, take that money and run. That's how this market's been working as of late. All right, out of the energy trade, of course, you see financial services getting hit hard. So this is where the concern comes back in, right? Are we still going to see the leak of these banks, and how much will that drag the overall market? I put it out on my Twitter earlier today. I saw Dennis putting out a comment. So I'm not going to lie. I caught Dennis's first, and I was already kind of thinking it. So it kind of helped. Dennis said, Dennis Dick, of course, from PreMarket Prep, said, banks continuing to slip. Hard to get bullish with the banks making new lows. And I said, well, yeah, it looks like the banks could start to drag the SPY. Now that tech is turning around on a pullback or throwback look, I'm attacking oil names on the short side. So you guys can keep up, of course, with my Twitter at MoneyMitchBZ if you guys want to hear about certain ways that I'm attacking the market. Of course, comments like this, I try to put out there not for you guys to trade off of, but for understanding of how I'm probably going to get into it when I get to start swing trading, right? I don't want to tell you guys by the time I'm here that I'm looking for oil to get hit, right? By that time, oil's way too far gone. So we'll see what happens there. You guys smash the like. Let's take a look around the market. What else is taking really hard beatings today? Of course, you see consumer cyclical there right behind financial services. These are the high beta names. What do we mean by high beta names? High volatility, right? And one thing that we need to keep in mind, and I'll check MPW for you in a second, Wally. One thing that we want to keep in mind with the high beta names is that the volatility drives up and drives down just as fast. So just as easy as we came up in the consumer cyclical trade, we can easily just go down. So there you guys see it. This looks like it wants to continue breaking down. Luxury goods. I don't think luxury goods are looking good right now. So I know Movado had earnings yesterday, and look at it today. I think this today? Let me check. I think it might have been today. Yeah, I have them here. EPS 103 beat the 86 estimate. Sales of 194.3 beat the 184 million estimate. So a beat and then just getting trashed on. That's where you got to be a little bit careful. And definitely poor little fossil, man. I actually have a fossil or two watch. So it's definitely taking the beating. It's down there to $3. Probably not where we want to be, right? Luxury goods. So what does this get me to look at? Signet. Is this going to crack? This actually looks like an opportunity for me. I'm going to keep an eye on it. But if Signet can come right back down and maybe fill this gap to the downside, this doesn't look like a bad downside gap to get after. We'll have to find out. Of course, there is some resistance here. You can clearly see it rejecting that 75 up to 77. Who knows? Maybe Signet an opportunity here. I'll set an alert to see if we attack it tomorrow. Let's keep going. Let's take a look. Recreational vehicles. I know that Winnebago just had earnings. What a gift, right? I mean, you got a nice push up. Now, right back to the downside. Why is this happening? Well, let's just be honest. I don't think too many people are thinking that everyone's just going to go out and buy Winnebagos in a high interest rate environment. And also, how long will we be at these interest rates, right? How long will we have until we get an actual pivot, right? You can see this long-term trend line. If this breaks, it could probably be right back down towards the 50s. We'll find out on that Winnebago if it can continue making the lift. All right, what else is being out there? Is there a play on fungus ETF like Fungu? Nah, I don't know. Gold for fungus, easy. What do you guys like? Gold? You guys are buying gold? GOLD, let's take a look there. That's continuing to drive. Ooh, nice little pullback days. Now continuing to lift. AU, we're going to keep shaking my head on that one, man. That was a nice little swing trade I was looking for. And AU, what I like about it is when gold trends, AU has a tendency of trending, right? At the beginning of November, we kind of had that spike in gold. It got up there. It came back down right into that gap zone into the 17s. And boom, right back up there to the resistance. This is one that I like to trade in gold. I know some people like to trade like the NUG T or the JNUG. JNUG, I know is another one, but these are kind of more leverage plays. So we can look at these for more like kind of intraday vehicles, like day trading vehicles. This one didn't have too bad of a day on the JNUG. All right, let's keep going. Consumer cyclical. We were running through some of those to see what was getting hit the hardest there. You guys can see department stores just getting crushed today. We talked about JWN in the chat. They were like, what's going on with Nordstrom? All I can say is that Cohen gave you guys the biggest gift I think I've ever seen in the market. Yes, Ryan Cohen gave you a gift. What did he do? He popped this stock to 27, man. Since that day, where has it gone? It is down 43%, $11.80 in just a month and a half. That big old gap right here, man, I should have attacked that gap. That thing's right back down. And you know how it is. I don't think this is going anywhere right now. Nordstrom coming down here and close to the pandemic numbers. Not what you want to see there in Nordstrom. Let's take a look there at Macy's, see how that's looking. That's looking really weak there, cutting through lows. KSS, probably the same outlook there. And if anything, you could be coming back down to those Kohl's pandemic numbers, 20, 15. It's not looking good in department stores, I can tell you that. And if it's not looking good in the big department stores, just take a look at apparel manufacturing and things like that. That's probably going to definitely take a hard downturn. Apparel stores probably take a hard downturn. We got to be careful here. We could start seeing these really getting pounded here. Duluth Holdings, you guys probably have seen their commercials a million times. And this is not looking good. You can see how that's really getting sold off there. And just to mention some of the other classics, right? Like ANF. This looks like it's really starting to break down. This looks like what, team? That looks like a Head and Shoulders to me. And you filled in the gap. Now really starting to break. This doesn't look good at all for ANF. AEO. What about the American Eagle Outfitters? Also looking like it's coming down. Urban. Ooh, apparel stores look weak here, team. These are some that could really start breaking down. All right, so Deck and Lulu way too early. We can take a look at that. We'll keep looking into it. Where do you see oil heading? Where I see oil heading really is, and we're talking probably like WTI, because I'm just going to like stick it to what we're looking at, right? WTI, I want to see if we can get into the 50s, right? If we can make a move to 50s, yes, that will bring a whole bunch of lowering on the prices. Also bring inflation down, which could bring the market up. So this is a little bit confusing there, right? But I'm not looking for oil to come back down to, let's say, like 30 or 40s. I feel like that would be way too much, right? What I'm looking to do is just kind of ride the trend as it goes away from energy and shifts over to technology. Look for technology to pull back some because some of these names have really gone high. And then I'll look to buy the dips in those technology names and sell the dips that we've had right now in these Exxon Mobil names, right? And cover into those down moves. Eventually, I do think that you'll get a little bit of a bounce in oil as what happens? Well, probably you start seeing demand come back. You might hear mentions of the strategic reserve trying to be attacked, right? If we could get to 50s, are they really going to wait to pump that back up? I know that we got the comment this afternoon from the energy secretary. But I'll tell you right now, if that price can get to 40s and 50s, why wouldn't they just pump it right back up, right? Something to keep in mind. All right, let's get back to the action. What's going on out there, team? Definitely, I'm here for you guys. And you guys, take everything I say with a little bit of grain of salt. What does that mean? Do your research, back up what I'm talking about. Remember, I'm here for informational purposes only, not financial advice. And what I'm trying to do necessarily is not point you directly to, hey, enter the trade here and exit the trade here. That's not what I'm here for, team. What I'm here for is more waving the flags, right? Where can we go looking? Where does it look good? Where does not look good, right? Then we can start taking the approach of what stock to attack in that area, especially when we're focusing more on industry. Like I just talked about apparel stores. And then you see me going through multiple of those names because I'm seeing the industry turn around, especially when I see department stores turn around, the apparels quickly follow. All right, let's get back to the action. We can take a look at different stocks. You guys out there, smash the like. I think oil will fall into the mid upper 40s. That'd be killer, J King. I wouldn't be mad about it. Smash it up, team. Let's keep it up. Let's get those likes up. Did we get to 50 likes? You guys let me know in the chat. Where are we at on the like game? Smash it up, team. All right, let's keep going. You guys know we're at the party. Read the small print. You know it. You know it, man. All right, let's keep going. Let's take a look. Let's go gold 2K plus. Who knows, man? All right, let's take a look at what else is making a move. Almost there. Ooh, get it up there, team. A bit of thought on semiconductors. I've already kind of chatted about that. You might want to rewind on that. I talked a lot of it, but I'll get into that action right now. I got you. So if I was looking at semis, what would I be looking? I'd be looking at the ones that were lagging, that took off. And I'm a little frustrated that I didn't take this Micron trade on Thursday. I've talked about this now for like 2 days, but it doesn't matter. We could take a look at it. Micron is making its way back. Why? Because when these other tech names were ripping, this one wasn't. Let's take a look at that so you guys can understand what I mean by leaders to laggards, right? So let's take a look at like an NVIDIA daily chart. And we're going to put AMD. Actually, I'll put AMD on the right-hand side just so you guys can see 2 leaders and 1 of the laggards in the middle, right? So you guys can do this exercise also. I'm going to take off all the lines, so we're not looking at lines. We're just going to be looking at price action based off of the daily, right? And another thing that I like is that you'll see these little yellow lines. Let me go ahead and make this full screen so you guys can see this, right? So when we're talking about the leader laggard style trade, right? So a lot of times, what do we want to be looking for? A lot of times, there's going to be leaders in the sectors, right? And as this stock, NVIDIA, was going sideways, what was happening to Micron in the middle there? You guys can see those little yellow lines. It was declining, right? Well, that gave us a little bit of a sign. Well, we don't want to go from Micron there. We want to stick with the leaders, right? Until the leaders take off so far that we can't play catch up to those leaders. And as the leaders started taking off here through the 250 resistance, what happened on Micron? That was the same day that we bottomed there on Micron and started to push up. What happened there on AMD? Well, you guys can clearly see it. We were kind of in this kind of flag pattern that we started pushing through that 90 spot here, right here towards the 88 resistance. As we got through that resistance into the 90s, that's exactly when you started seeing Micron kind of turn around. Why does that happen? Well, a lot of that is, to me, is that they see the leader run, right? They see NVIDIA run, and they just start combing through the ditches. They're looking at it. They're like, well, where's the ditch, right? What isn't moving? What maybe had just not the worst earnings report, maybe got pulled down from some guidance, but others in the areas are really climbing that wall of worry, and then you see them come after it. Another one that they came after, just to kind of talk about that, would be Marvell, right? Marvell was another one that was bottoming right when this was happening, and as we broke through the resistance, that's when we started getting the lift there in Marvell. Another one that was lagging, and it was just playing kind of that catch-up game. Now we'll see if they come after those and continue to take it to the next level. All right, lots of ups and down swings from 9 to 11 to 12 this week. And I agree with you, Lucas. I think one of the things that we need to keep in mind is that we're always going to have this kind of opening action and the closing action. And that's why a lot of times you'll even see me take some swing trades towards the end of the day versus the beginning part of the day. Beginning part of the day, always going to have that volatility. And why? Because a lot of day traders are in that first hour of the day. That's why I try to save a little bit of powder for the end of the day. We'll talk a little bit about that and keep going. All right, let's keep going. Let's take a look at some other ones. Let's take a look at what else is making moves too. You guys, we'll save a little bit of time for ticker time. It's about 3:39, so you guys can keep dropping some tickers and we'll keep flowing through. I know you wanted to take a look at PACW. I'll take a look at some regional banks. I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to take any of these trades, but I don't mind taking a look, right? Let's get into the action. AMD, what a nice push. That was a really nice gain if you guys were able to get it on AMD. Now the only question is, do we take that money and run? That's up to you guys. It's a PACW, right? Yeah, PACW here. Let's get into these. You guys can see how this is trying to cut through these lows, right? You can do it on the hourly. You can do it on the 4 hours, whichever one you want to do, right? But we're trying to cut right back into this area and then try to head towards those 13 lows. I don't know if it's going to be able to get that low or if for any reason there could be a tape bomb on this. I know a lot of people are maybe trying to play these for upside action. I think this is too much risk and reward. Also, what kind of pattern or bullish pattern do you see here? There is none. This is a bearish pattern on the daily. And so with that being said, that's why I'm also staying away from these, because at the end of the day, they don't even look bullish to me. So it's just like me just trying to take a shot on something that's really just destroyed. I don't have no problem with that, but it's not my best strategy, right? It's not my bread and butter. And I think another thing to kind of look at is, will we get back down to the extreme on the RSI? So for PACW, that would be a move back down towards the 10 RSI. You've been going sideways right now and getting a little bit of lift. You just went back down there towards 864. Do you get to at least 10 on the RSI? Maybe if I see a double bottom around that $5 and I can risk off of $5, maybe then it makes sense. But I'll tell you right now, highly will probably not take this trade. Probability is not on my side to take a trade like this. FRC, right back down through that 13th low. So this one really doesn't look good and could disappear at any moment. There's no reason why this stock can't disappear. So I'm staying the hell away, team. The hell away. I'm not even touching these, team, because to tell you the truth, this is easily how we just get lost in a trade that might seem like it has potentially high reward, but does it make sense on the risk wise? That's what I always ask myself. All right, the Regeneron move was awesome. Yeah, let's take a look at that. Regeneron, of course, had some news today. Let's take a look. How did this perform? Looks like it got a nice move back up there towards the 820s. Now pulling back into this kind of little gap zone, looking to kind of catch a little bit of the bid. Doesn't look too bad as it pulled back towards the 790s, bounced right off of the 790.50 level. So this actually doesn't look bad for a pullback. And this one was moving with SNY, right? Sanofi. Yeah, this one was moving with this one. And it's just going sideways right now. And in a day where the market's getting dragged so much and this is staying strong, these are two stocks that I would definitely keep on my radar tomorrow, especially if we can have a green day tomorrow. You could see Regeneron back to 820s, right? We'll find out what happens on these. They're definitely higher priced. You got to know how to trade them, but just be careful out there, team. All right, Regeneron has a good pipeline. Yeah, they definitely do. It doesn't look too bad. But yeah, that's what I would look at. I see that little kind of gap here on the hourly in the pre-market. It came right back to these levels around the 790.80s, went to 790.45, but that's not looking too bad for a nice recovery of 800 and maybe 820 tomorrow. So we'll find out what happens there. It's a fun one to definitely keep an eye on for. And one that I'm keeping an eye on for overall in the healthcare. What will happen to healthcare? It's really been hit lately. Will this ever bounce back? Just got to keep an eye on it, especially the major drug manufacturers. That's one that I've been keeping an eye on. SNY falls under that one. And then, of course, Regeneron falls under more of the biotechs. That's more like IBB. We'll see if that ever turns around also. All right, catching up with the chat. How you guys doing out there? You guys, cannabis stocks? Oh, we gotta keep those on the sideline right now. It's not that I don't believe in cannabis stocks. I'm a big believer in these stocks and opportunities. But like always, this is kind of more of a long-term approach, not necessarily a swing approach. I don't really like to swing those cannabis stocks. Had plenty I've taken trades like that, and some have gone green, some have gone red. But I just say, like, on the long run, I think I need to see the story change, regulation change. Then we can look at that opportunity. It's not a bad one, but it needs to change. All right, risk reward is not there for those, my friend. Agree. The risk reward right now is not something that I would just jump into immediately. You need tailwinds in that industry. What do I mean by tailwinds? Maybe some fiscal policy finally going their way. That could definitely help. All right, let's keep going. Let's take a look at some other ones. May exit the SOX S trade soon. Captain, you still in there? I got out of that one today. I know I got a little bit of that one towards the 1720s, but it's gone back up there. It went all the way up to 1830s. Man, I sold that one a little bit early. I sold that one at 1725s here just for the 3% gain. That one did a nice move there. Not a bad move there up towards 1830s, but pulling back quick. This is why I don't want to battle tech. I definitely don't want to battle too much of tech. And I don't want to just go shorting tech names because I still feel like these are pretty strong. Apple pulling back here towards the 157 area. We'll have to keep an eye on it. If it could come back through 160, hit 157, come back through 160, I really like it. But if it doesn't get back up there to 160, we could get the pull back to 153. It still leaves room for that. That's called the throwback look, right? You break above this trend line, then you get the throwback where it comes actually back to that trend line, and then you push out. We'll see if we get that look. All right, now one thing to note that I've been calling on for a while now is Apple did do a golden cross. A lot of times we could get a little bit of a pullback right after we do a golden cross, and then the continuation pushing higher. So I'm looking for deeper pullbacks on these tech names. And if they could pull back, then we could look for a nice little shot. Right now, I don't want to be swinging these long, and I neither want to swing them short because they could continue just climbing that wall of worry and breaking out, right? Google's been really strong, pushing 106.50s and actually not even having a bad day, right? Recovering the VWAP here towards the close. That's not one I want to go shorting, right? I could easily just get crushed. This could get to 110 and all of a sudden just start pushing. So definitely don't want to be battling against some of these tech names, but they're not looking bad, right? And so if anything, I'm just looking at these for longs or pullback opportunities for me to get in. All right, what else has been talked about? I thought you got stopped out for a loss in SOX. Completely right, Jay. Early on in the day, we did get stopped out on SOX. That was the trade that was from 1711, 1715 an ad, and out at 1698. Those were the earlier trade. Then later on in the day, I got 1675 out at 1709 and then out at 1724. So just to give you perspective, Jay, it was just another trade. It's okay to call me out on that, though. I appreciate that, actually, because that's what it's all about, transparency, right? All right, let's keep going. We'll see what else is being mentioned in the chat. We got a couple minutes left here, 13 minutes. Let's just do straight up ticker time. You guys drop tickers that you guys are looking at. Maybe it's charts that you guys are thinking about. I'll keep flowing here. All right, I'm going to just take a little sip of water, throw some up. What you want to look at, Francis? Netflix? You could take a look at it. I think I did see why Netflix maybe could have run today, but I don't know if it was really supporting to Netflix, maybe supporting to the industry overall. All right, let's get to Netflix. Let's talk a little bit about what I saw there. So Netflix, of course, we've been kind of keeping an eye on it. And let's put it on the weekly. Weekly's just been kind of slowly stair-stepping its way, right? And I mean, it still hasn't broken this kind of move since it came out of this in, let's say, June 17th week, right? You can see how these trend lines kind of add up. You can even pull it closer here. If you wanted, I wouldn't pull it that close. I would use this line here, this bottoming line, to kind of pull it towards the 280s. You can see how it kind of bounced off of that. Now let's get back to the daily levels. Why could this have maybe gone a little bit up today? Well, let's take a look at the hourly chart. You can see how you kind of went through this trend line and then just started pushing higher. Well, what type of news was out there today in kind of the streaming services? Well, I did see a mention from Apple. I don't know if you guys caught that. I actually put up a comment on my Twitter about it. If you guys always keep up with that, I'm going to be trying to put comments like this up to try to help you guys. And I'll talk to you guys about it. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to rip, right? But maybe this is what kind of helped it here. So this is, of course, maybe a good move by Apple. They're investing pretty heavily into cinemas. What do I mean? They're going to be bringing out movies, right? And some people were thinking that Netflix bringing out movies, why didn't Apple just buy Netflix? Because they essentially could. It has enough cash to do it. But I think, of course, regulation would battle that deal back. And so if Netflix might have been getting a lift just because Apple coming out with an investment into the movies, you guys know Netflix also invested into a movie. And so that just shows to me that content is still king, and that if you have the best content, that's probably what's going to win. And of course, Netflix is, I would say right now, without a doubt, the clear leader, right, in content. Now, Apple will try to play a little bit of catch up. And to me, Disney is the loser here, because Disney recently said they want to cut content, not spend more in it. And I think that, yeah, that's going to be the loser in the long run here. Of course, Apple lost on the Sunday ticket, and now is trying to figure out different ways to get some marketing back in it. So it could have been what gave it a little bit of the lift. That could have been a nice push there in Netflix. Let's see how Disney performed today. Disney coming back here towards the 96. Early on, I was saying with a strong Netflix, I usually look for a strong Disney. So it doesn't look too bad. It is recovering on the day, but it didn't really have a strong day today, but at least just didn't get smacked. Snap in the chat. Snap. Let's talk a little bit about Snap. I was able to take a profit on a day trade today in Snap. Was able to get in there at 1178. Top shares sold towards 1192. We didn't get up there towards breaking through the 12 early, at least for my trade. I got out of there way too early, but this turned right back to the downside. This is all going to be dependent on what happens on TikTok. Does TikTok get the ban or not? If it gets the ban, I think Snap could be like maybe 15. Now, if it doesn't get the ban, does Snap just go right back down to 10? That's where I'd be a little bit concerned. We got to be careful about that. All right. End of the day imbalances here. Looks like 606 million to the buy side. Not too bad. Let's take a look at the market. All right, it looks like we are getting a little bit of a jump here. They're starting to get a little bit of some fills back there towards 395. And definitely oil stocks are bouncing even also. So keep your eyes on it. Finally got a little bit of a bounce there in some of these oil names. Going to stick to the trade, right? And just continue to work it, right? That's all I need to do from here on out. I've already taken some profit. At this point, just got to continue to work and work and work. That's what it's all about here. All right, let's go to some of these tech names, see how they're bouncing back. NVIDIA, nice little bounce back there. AMD, back to the VWAP. Apple, almost got there, back to 160s. 160s was the move earlier on that gave that nice little lift. We'll look to see. It's not a bad overall day. Kind of just hanging out off of this 159.30 area. We could still get a nice little move here in the next couple of minutes, but something that I will keep an eye on for is for Apple to kind of pull back into the 9 EMA and then catch the lift. That's around the 157, if anything slightly below that. 156.22 exactly is where I have it right now. All right, we'll see what else is going on. Sox L holding it overnight, says Beans. Hey, man, we'll see what happens. I mean, there is some resistance right above here. We'll look to see if we get a little bit of a gap above 18s. 18 is so important for that Sox L if it wants to continue making that lift. We'll find out, team. Like always, you guys can check out what goes on right here on Benzinga. Smash the like button, team. We got a little bit left here, about 7 minutes. I'll keep doing some stocks. And we'll see what else we can get for it. Risk it for the biscuit, says Beans. Hey, we'll see if you get that biscuit. Put some butter on it, though. We'll find out. All right, let's get to the action here. DFEN. Don't know this one. Dextron Daily Aerospace and Defense. Bull 3 times leverage. Man, I got to say, City personnel, you're the first one to ever bring this stock to me. There's plenty of leverage plays that I've heard of. This one I have not heard of. DFEN. Aerospace and Defense leverage. Bull to the 3 end. What's the down one, if you don't mind me asking, if you know it? I know DFEN is here. Is the down one, is it YFEN? Let me know. All right, we'll see what happens there. DFEN. It is trying to make that move back to 23. You can see you've pulled back here towards support, and you've broken above this kind of trend line, but you didn't hold for long. That's where it gets a little scary here. You can see how you kind of broke above this, but how long were you really up there? You were up there maybe 4 days. So you got to look to see if you can recover that, hold this support, and get right back up there. If it breaks this 18, I'd want to be out of it. But if it can come back up through 20s tomorrow, it won't be looking too bad for at least kind of like a little bit of a throwback. Shouldn't break too much of this trend line like it is here. But if you can recover back there towards the 22s, it won't be looking too bad. Direction site. I don't see a bear side. Thank you, Walter, for taking a look. I was just wondering, right? This is an interesting one. Never seen it either, right? I always love when I find some new tickers. So appreciate you bringing it up, man. And there's so many tickers that people bring up to me. I don't think this one is it. And City says he just doesn't think there is one either. Hey, shout out to you, man, for bringing one that I've never heard of, right? I mean, there's so many tickers I've heard of. This one isn't it. All right. All in all, the market is having a decent day. Yeah, I would agree with that. All in all, we're not having a bad week, really. I mean, there's a financial crisis going on, right? I mean, we're calling it the financial mistake. That's what I'm calling it, team, not the financial crisis. I think that word crisis scares too many people. So I'm going to start using the financial mistake because it seemed to me like it was just mismanagement. So we'll see what happens now. Will we continue down? I'm talking about really, it's all about, do we break back into kind of the 386, 384 handle? If we can get back to 400, we can pretty start pushing here and start pushing higher. The great mistake, 2023. You know it, Beans. You know it. It seems like it, at least. That's the one to buy after Biden launches World War III. Oh, hopefully not, Hammer. Hopefully not. Honestly, not kidding around. I've been kind of scared about talking about things like that. I don't want to get into it, but at the same time, there's just too much concern with, Russia, China, North Korea, and those are 3 big heads, right? I don't think we want to be getting into that battle, but hopefully we don't ever have to talk about that. All right. Thank you. Just wait until JPM fails. SPY's going to rip to 6,000. I mean, you never know, really. I don't think JPM could fail, but if that would fail, yeah, you would see the market just completely crumble. But I think that JPM could go lower, but I don't think it's going to completely break. Like, let's say, I don't think it's breaking like 100. I don't think that that's going to happen, but hey, we'll see. It could keep pulling back and get to 120s, 115s, and even like 110. I don't think it's going to break 100, but then again, that's just me guessing. There's a reason why I'm not short these banks. There's a reason why I'm not long these banks. No edge. I talked about it earlier. All right, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget Mexico. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's not looking good, team. We don't have too many people on our sides right now, and that's one thing that I'd keep in mind. All right, let's go looking at one last stock, the Tesla Dragon. I know everybody likes to take a look at Tesla. How did that perform today? I didn't really pay attention to it too much. I was wondering if we were going to get into the 200s. We've pulled back now multiple times to 190. If we break 190 again, I'd be concerned for breakdown on Tesla. But if we could reach the 200 again, I think we could get a little bit of liftoff back towards like kind of the 210, 215 area. So keep your eyes on this. You're seeing what? Multiple highs in the same kind of area. Tuesday's high, 198. Wednesday's high, 266. Let's see if we clear that tomorrow. If we break the 188 from Tuesday's low, that's where I definitely start getting a little bit more concerned, because it could just down gap fill and break down. We'll see if it gives you that push into the 200. ELF is still a high flyer. Yes, it's still a high flyer. And with Ulta's earnings that had recently come out, I could see this one pushing a little bit higher. We'll see what happens there in Ulta. Let's take a look there. You guys can see how this is pulled back, giving us an opportunity off of the kind of the 510 level. Will this just come right back to 530? Probably the best ran stock of all of Wall Street, Ulta Beauty. Some people are thinking about the banks being an opportunity, when really stocks like this are a massive opportunity. These are the opportunities we want to get. Something that can have that gain long term. That's what I want to get. An AZO is what I want to get, right? Let's just be honest. Even JPM's long-term chart, does this look like a massive gain? JPM looks good there, right? I'll show you JPM. Now take a look at some of the other banks. This doesn't look good. Bank of America, Wells Fargo doesn't look that great, right? I mean, this stock back in the 2008, it was at the same price. At the same price, team. We're talking what? 16 years later. 16 years later, this stock went nowhere. Be careful out there, team. What you swing for. We'll find out what happens. Smash the thumbs up. Ding, ding, ding is right, my friends. That's it. Pencils down. It's over. That's going to be the day for today. Still got Chevron. Still got Exxon. Still going after those oil names. You guys smash it up. And I hope that you guys enjoyed the party today. Like always, welcome to the party. We're going to keep going, up in those skills to the next level. I hope that you guys can stick around here and get to that next shot, because, hey, I can tell you guys right now, there's going to be some smooth jazz in here. Start swing trading is where you want to be, baby. Where we knock down these charts, don't stop, look at the market, and bring on some great guests from time to time. You guys smash the like. I'll see you next time, bright and early on Pre-Market Prep. Hit the like, team. That was pretty fun today.